Oh yes, big boy damage numbers, we love to see them. The more and the bigger they are, the more dopamine our body produces, and we all love when that happens because then we're happier in life and happier with our warframes and our setups. Now, first of all, let's start off with a primer. What is that? How do you use it? Well, a primer is a weapon used to apply status effects on enemies to increase the efficiency and our damage of our weapons, of course melee and primaries, through galvanized, aptitude and savvy for rifles and shotguns, and of course condition overload for melee weapons. Now, the more status effects affecting the target, the bigger the damage is. First of all, I want to say that galvanized, aptitude and savvy do not work on AoE weapons, so you know, that's not gonna work, but nonetheless AoE weapons are good in and of themselves, so nothing really to write home about. Now, I do love using the Kuva Nukor instead of the Pseudo, the Epitaph, and of course the Source in some rare situations. First of all, Pseudo, really good, but it is a primary which doesn't allow me to take that big of an advantage of Galvanized Aptitude, even though it still can because it is a hit scan weapon. Now, we have the Epitaph, really good AoE, of course, weapon, but stats-wise, the Kuva Nukor can increase your damage incredibly high, and of course the Zors, I mean, you use condition overload and you use a primer for your melee weapons, so the Zors being as a primer, in my opinion, is kind of crazy, but you know, to each their own, as they say. Now, let's talk about statuses and how do these mods take advantage of them. First of all, what actual status effects do these mods consider as, well, status effects? First of all, we have the main 3 IPS damage types: impact, puncture and slash. We of course have the base elements: cold, electricity, heat and toxin, and the combination of those: blast, corrosive, gas, magnetic, radiation and viral. Now, we also have void damage, which is counted as a status effect, and also microwave. Now, Kuva Nukor. This is an exclusive proc for the Kuva Nukor and the Nukor, which of course still counts, and it has infinite duration as well. It enlarges the enemy's parts, and that's basically, that doesn't last infinite, but you can enlarge enemy parts, so that's pretty cool. Now, of course, we have the base elements of the Kuva Nukor. First of all, we have a radiation that is always on here, and the secondary element is dependent on the Kuva Lich that you kill. Magnetic is honestly the best way to go, so you have 2, and microwave, that's 3. With 3 status effects, you can apply a maximum of 240 damage on your aptitude and savvy, and just a base 240% damage increase on your condition overload. Okay, Gaming Weasel, we're pretty close, but we're not that close to 640, we're still 400% off. Well, let's include in our build 2 more status effects. Of course, blast and corrosive, so that's 5. 5 totaling out at 400% maximum for, of course, galvanized aptitude and savvy. You know, we have to keep in mind that the bonus damage is dependent on how many stacks you actually have, and 400 of course percent for condition overload, because the damage increase for condition overload is double that of course galvanized aptitude and savvy. Now, okay, we're getting a little bit closer, Gaming Weasel, a little bit closer, and of course the build can be changed. It's your personal opinion and personal preference. It's just that I love using this build. Now, how do we get that extra 3 elements that we need for our, of course, 640%? First of all, you put heat on your primary and or on your melee weapon. That is another element, so that's 6. That's of course can be 480%, and then we put viral because we don't have viral on our Kuva Nukor. That's totaling at 7, 560% status effects. Now, also a good thing, Panzer Profiler, incredibly good. Applies status and viral all over the place, so that's basically guaranteed heat, guaranteed of course viral, corrosive, then what else do we have? Radiation, magnetic and blast. So 7 elements. Now, here's where secondary encumbered comes in. The newest secondary arcane added into Warframe. On status effect, you get a 24% chance to trigger another second random status effect. Well, considering this weapon is a beam weapon, it basically also chains through enemies as well as punch through, which is also a good mod to put on there, just a little bit of a hint. So basically, we have a pretty high chance of applying another random status effect, if not even more. Keep in mind, Galvanized Aptitude Savvy and also Condition Overload can max out at 16 elements. That's a total damage boost of 1280%. Now, we're not gonna probably go that high. There's not gonna be tough enough enemies to, be able to take that many status effects. But 640% damage or 8 status effects is gonna be pretty much guaranteed. We can actually even go higher if there's a tougher enemy like an Eximus unit. We can go up to at least, let's say 10 or 11, giving us a boosted damage of 800 or 880% for 11 elements. So basically, we are killing everything. Now you might be saying, well, Gaming Weasel, I know everything about Warframe, but acolytes can only have 4 status effects. Yes, that is completely true, but you will still keep on decimating them, as you might have seen in the gameplay. And also, what else would you do is also you can apply slash, if nothing else, increasing it up to 5 and giving you 400% extra damage on your weapons and possibly on your primaries and of course your shotguns, rifles. You can apply impact and or puncture, and which can of course total out at 480% boosted damage on acolytes. So there you go, acolytes dead, trash units dead. You can pretty much take this weapon and take it into endgame with any sort of good melee weapon, and you're pretty much gonna be safe and sound. Now, of course, there's a couple of downsides, a couple of good sides. In my opinion, the Epitaph has a bigger coverage. You have to always switch, of course, between your primary or your melee weapon and your secondary. It doesn't really matter, you're gonna have to do that with the Epitaph as well. The Epitaph has a little bit more blast, of course, because it is basically a blast weapon, or I guess not a blast weapon, but an AoE weapon. So I guess this could fall out of favor for some players, but statistically, this weapon's gonna do much better than the Epitaph. Now, of course, Cedo, incredibly good at that. The glaive, when it flies around basically hitting everything, can cover more targets as well. But if you're focusing on pure damage on enemies, this weapon is the way to go. So, that is basically it. Tell me down in the comment section down below why I'm wrong, why I'm maybe right, and why you liked or disliked the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. This has been your friendly neighborhood Gaming Weasel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. The Gaming Weasel over and out.